The South Dakotans you are about to meet live with disabilities. Each has had to decide whether or not to disclose that disability at school, work, and in social settings. The decisions are highly personal, and while these people are willing to disclose, they respect those who choose differently. Often, significant disabilities are mostly unseen by others.
During high school, I've noticed I'll be taking a quiz and I'll go back and just review after I'm done, make sure everything's lined up, and I'll circle B, but I put D in the answer line and it's not right. Or I noticed during math, I have no idea, they look nothing alike, but I'd always write 5 instead of 7. So I would always get my math problems wrong because I would write 7.
Well, my disability is actually a cerebral palsy. I was born with a very mild case of it, and it actually was not apparent to us until I was about 1 year old. I forget about it every day. It's not the first thing I tell people when I meet them.
While neither Marty or Tori are defined by their disabilities, both decided to disclose them to their post-secondary school's disability services personnel. That opened doors to important accommodations.
It depends on your disability. You get different accommodations. Like for me, I get to take my tests outside of the room. I also, being dyslexic, it's hard for me to take notes, so they gave me a smart pen, and it's this tool that records as you write.
If you have trouble writing notes, like I do a lot, they will actually print out the notes for me for that class, so I can just follow with highlighter and add my own notes.
Even when there are good reasons to disclose, actually doing so can be hard.
I did not want this campus to judge me, but at the same time I knew it was going to come out, because with my situation people would probably wonder what I had.
Trevor disclosed his high-functioning autism to school personnel, and Ann disclosed a visual impairment and diagnosed mental illness. For both, disclosure led to seeing new potential for themselves.
The misconception that people with mental illnesses can't really go to college, it's pretty prevalent. I even had that misconception for the longest time. I tried going to another school. It was basically a crash course. This time, the revelation hit me that I can go part-time, so I'm coping okay with going part-time and the stresses with that.
They set up tests and quizzes where I had extra time and I can take it in another room if I feel the noise, and the pressure was getting to me and inhibiting my test-taking skills.
James's story is different. He was once well into a career as an offshore seismologist, a career cut short by a serious injury followed by a pulmonary embolism. Vocational rehabilitation was ready to help him retrain as a teacher. Before he could jump into college coursework, though, James had to disclose a serious reading disability.
It's one of those things that you have to think about, and you have to be pretty comfortable in your own skin to do it. It's not something that, it didn't come easy.
After college, qualified to teach computer-aided drafting, James had to decide whether to disclose his disability to potential employers.
It's got to be your choice, but it's better to be honest and upfront. And if you get that job, they hire you with this disability, then run with it. You know, show them that this is not going to stop you.
James got his teaching job, and Tori, Trevor, Marty, and Ann are confident there are rewarding jobs awaiting them too.
My field here at WDT is phlebotomy, and phlebotomy, that big word, means basically to draw blood from patients for the doctor to run tests, and phlebotomy also comes with a lab background as well, so phlebotomists do take blood, and they are educated in lab work as well.
I'm going for an exercise science degree, which I'll get this fall, and I have a coaching minor in it, and I think I'll go somewhere where I'm working with athletes or the general healthy public.
Marty will be an elementary teacher, and she can think of ways her disability will make her a better teacher.
In the future, when I'm a teacher, it'll be easy for me to pick out those kids. Like, looking at their homework, I'll be able to tell, hey, this kid wrote his 5 backwards, this kid wrote a D instead of a B. So I'll be able to, okay, that kid has dyslexia, we can work on that.
Anne is studying for a career in physics research. While she may not decide to disclose every aspect of her disability to coworkers,
If we're working severely long hours, I will need to disclose that, hey, I need a break, I don't function well on enough sleep.
Keith is Assistant Dean for Student Development at Dakota State University and is also the school's Americans with Disabilities Act coordinator. He is also blind. Keith offers his suggestion for disclosure in a professional setting where employment discrimination due to disabilities is against the law.
Here is the way I think it should be brought up if you don't have an obvious disability. I would like for you to know that I do have a reading disability. However, I have always been able to succeed in areas where reading is important. I use a screen reading program. I use a program that reads out loud to me and highlights what's on the screen, and that helps me. And you can state at that point whether you would need the employer to look into providing that or whether you already have it. A lot of times if you work with Voc Rehab, you have the program and you can just take it right to the job with you. I've always brought it up in the first interview because I want to level with the employer just as I expect them to level with me.
Still, Keith stresses, disclosure isn't necessarily right for everyone.
If you're in a situation where your disability is not going to affect your work performance in any way, then you don't have to disclose it at all. For example, if you've got a disability that's controlled under medication and you're just going to be doing a job that will not need any accommodations whatsoever, then it's completely a choice of whether you disclose that disability or not.
Anne knows that disclosing in college kicked her career preparation into high gear and changed her view of life.
Legally, I am disabled because of my mental illness. I'm on disability. So that was heartbreaking to go on disability. It really took me down a few notches, but to be able to pursue a career and have a plan to get off disability and everything is really helping, and having a purpose in what I'm doing, it really helps me.
Just a generation ago, people with disabilities often felt alone in school and work settings. No longer, enough people have disclosed so that a true community of support exists.
Think positive. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And sooner or later, you'll find your niche.
Don't be scared.
Don't let anyone tell you you can't, because you can.